Adam. Giselle, the ballet, is presented in 2 acts. It is the story of a peasant girl named Giselle, whose ghost, after her premature death, protects her lover from the vengeance of a group of evil female spirits called Willies. The first act is set in the early parts of 19th century in Rhinelands during the Great Harvest. As the ballet begins, the beautiful Giselle has recently attracted the attention and admiration of Albrecht, the handsome young Duke of Silesia, whose castle overlooks the village. Albrecht soon falls desperately in love with Giselle, but there are more difficulties in the way of his romance. In first place, he is already betrothed to the proud Princess Bathilda of Courland, whom he is expected to marry at some not too distant date. Secondly, he was aware that his high social position would not permit of his marriage with a peasant girl. Nevertheless, he had conceived so deep a passion for the beautiful Giselle that he had determined to see her as frequently as possible, and he hoped to win her love. Suspecting that the simple village beauty might be unwilling to meet him as the powerful duke of that district, and also wishing to keep his sweet romance a secret for the time being, Albrecht leads the young maiden to believe that he is a farmer named Lois and woos her passionately. So charming was the newcomer that Giselle all too quickly fell in love with him, despite the romantic advancements of another peasant, Hilarion, who suspects that Lois is an impostor. Full of mistrust, he is determined to keep a close watch upon the hated newcomer, who had so quickly stolen away from him the heart of the village belle. The lovers met many times, and their ecstatic happiness increased with every meeting. During one such meeting, in order to test him, Giselle plays He Loves Me Not with a daisy. She realizes with sadness that her last daisy petal indicates Albrecht doesn't love her. To convince her of his love for him, Albrecht plays the Love Me Not game again, and when this time the last daisy petal indicates love, Giselle is consoled. Albrecht proclaims his undying love for Giselle, and they dance in joy. They are joined by a lively group of young lads and maidens carrying a basket of grapes. The happy scene turns into a scene of dance and rejoicing. Disturbed by the noise, Giselle's mother Bertha comes forth from her cottage to see what the noise was about and is not happy to see the overexuberance of the young people. She scolds Giselle for wasting her time and commands her to return home. Very soon afterward, the sound of hunting horns is heard, and a hunting party arrives upon the scene, headed by the Princess of Courland, Princess Bathilda, along with her father, Prince of Courland. When Giselle appears, Bathilda and she engage in pleasant talk. Bathilda likes Giselle and presents her with a necklace, much to Giselle's delight. Meanwhile, the jealous and suspicious Hilarion breaks into the Duke's cottage and finds that he is not a peasant indeed. He shows Giselle the Duke's sword and horn as proof. When she comes to know the truth about Albrecht, Giselle goes mad with grief and reminisces tender moments between her and Lois before succumbing to death. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you Act 1 of Giselle.
Thank you.